Welcome to the Limitless Living Podcast. I'm Fredricka Davis, creator of the Limitless Reset Method. And here every week, we are having real conversations about creating sustainable success, practical wellness, and building a life that you genuinely love living. So, are you ready for your body, your business, and your life to become limitless? Let's get started. Welcome back to Wellness Reset Thursday here on the Limitless Living Podcast. I'm Fredricka Davis, creator of the Limitless Reset Method. And every Thursday, we focus on practical, realistic ways to help you care for your body, your mind, and your nervous system, all without adding more overwhelm to your life. So, today we're beginning a brand new series for the month of August that I am calling the Energy Reset series. So, because if there is one thing I hear over and over from my clients, it's this: I'm just so tired. I'm not sleepy necessarily, and I'm not ready for bed, but I feel incredibly depleted. And I don't know, I just can't focus and I wake up tired. I go to sleep tired. I feel like I'm getting sleep, but I still feel tired and I don't know what to do about it. Or they'll tell me, they're fine in the morning, but then they hit that 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon and all they want is another cup of coffee or an energy drink. And here's what's really interesting about this. Many of my clients are actually really, really trying. I'm betting if you're like any of them, you're doing a lot of the right things and eating relatively healthy and exercising some and taking supplements. Maybe you're even taking a ton of them, or trying to make sure you're hydrated and doing all of the things that they say to do, or at least the best that you can. And if you're still not feeling good, as I see with them so often, then you are definitely not alone. And today's episode, I promise, will not solve every single possible reason that you might be struggling with your energy, because there are genuinely so many reasons, but it might solve some. So, some of the reasons that can contribute to lack of energy, lack of focus, lack of recovery are going to be your hormones, sleep, stress, medical conditions, of course, medications, chronic illness, autoimmune diseases, thyroid conditions, mental health, you name it. There's a whole bunch of things. And there are just so many of these that can be part of this. And it really kind of becomes a big puzzle piece. Do you feel like you are like that? You feel like, oh my gosh, I have so many pieces to my puzzle and I wish one person would be able to put them all together? Because that's something I hear a lot and I have experienced myself. Each doctor wants to treat one thing, each diet addresses one thing, each coach addresses one thing. We're just these big puzzle pieces. What if we could begin to put those pieces together? What if you could do that for yourself? So I want to talk about one of the best places to begin and one of the largest puzzle pieces, if you will. Because when you give your body the raw materials that it actually needs to make your energy, everything else starts to become easier. And I'm not going to say perfect, but it will become easier. People often ask me, where do I even start? I don't even know where to start anymore. Should I exercise more or sleep more, or which supplements should I buy, or meditate, reduce stress? I can't reduce stress. That's what's usually said right behind that one. And my answer is usually going to be yes to all of these eventually. But if your body doesn't have the nutrients it needs to produce energy in the first place, then everything else becomes much harder to correct. That's why today I want to start with food. Now, food isn't just calories, and I want to make something very clear before I go any further with today's episode. This is not about dieting. It's not about counting calories, and I'm not going to tell you that foods are to be labeled good or bad, and it's not about guilt. It is also not about being perfect. So I've spent my entire adult life studying health, nutrition, wellness, body mechanics, exercise physiology, stress, and holistic everything, healing in particular. I've also spent most of my life navigating my own relationship with food. I've struggled with weight. I've lived through autoimmune disease. I've experienced chronic inflammation, and I've had to rebuild my health more than once. So when I talk about food today, I'm not talking about restriction. I'm also not talking about this from the viewpoint of somebody who has not had some of the challenges that you may have. What I am talking about is nourishment. One of the biggest mindset shifts I ever made was to stop asking, what can't I eat? Or what do I have to eat? And instead, I started asking, what can I gift my body? And I teach this in my programs, in my wellness center. This simple shift really changed everything for me because food isn't just calories, it's actually communication. I'll explain. Every bite that you take sends information to your body. So you're either giving your cells and all of your body the raw materials that it needs to build energy, or you're making its job a lot harder. That's a very different way to think about food. So let me talk about cells just for a minute. And I want to make it really simple. Inside most of the cells of your body are tiny little structures called your mitochondria. You can think of them as your tiny power plants loaded with energy. Their job is to take the food you eat, the oxygen you breathe, and so on, and turn it into usable energy. Now, that means every heartbeat, every breath, every thought, every step, every muscle contraction or cell that repairs itself, everything your body needs to heal, everything your body needs to thrive requires energy. Now, your mitochondria, they're working all the time around the clock to make this happen. But here's the issue. Here's the problem. If those little power plants don't have the nutrients they need, or they're constantly dealing with inflammation, poor sleep, chronic stress, highly processed foods, or too little movement, they simply don't produce energy as efficiently. It can even die off. It's like trying to run a fireplace with wet wood. The fire will still burn, just not very well, and it will go out faster. So instead of simply thinking I need more energy, I want you to start asking and thinking, am I giving my cells what they need to make the energy? Because this is where lasting energy begins. The 5 foods your cells actually crave. Now, I want to walk you through 5 categories of foods that I believe make the biggest. Is there more to be known about all of this? Absolutely. But in today's podcast, we're going to talk about 5 categories of foods that are going to give you the biggest noticeable difference when you make the shift and you choose these. Not because they are trendy, not because they're necessarily perfect, but because when you eat them, you give your body what it actually needs. You are gifting it to your body. So protein is going to be number 1. Protein is so much more than something bodybuilders eat. Protein provides you with amino acids. And you need to think of amino acids as these little building blocks. Your body uses them to build muscles. I don't care what age you are, male or female, you need muscle to stay healthy and independent as we age and vibrant. It repairs your tissues. It supports your immune system. And it helps you with your hormones. It even helps you to produce neurotransmitters. Now, neurotransmitters are simply the chemical messengers your brain uses to communicate. So things like serotonin, dopamine, they help regulate your mood, your motivation, your focus, and even how energized you feel. Many of you out there feeling like you might be depressed, and I'm not diagnosing and I'm not overriding a doctor or anything. Whether you are clinically depressed or not, if you were to shift your diet, give your brain and give your cells what it needs, you will likely feel an improvement. And sometimes it's such a profound improvement that things change drastically for the better. So without enough quality protein, your body has to work much harder. And one thing I do every morning is I add collagen to my coffee. Many of you have heard me talk about my protein latte. I love it. It's delicious. It helps me increase my protein intake. But collagen in itself is not a complete protein. So it doesn't have all the essential amino acids your body actually needs. So later in the morning, Or maybe before I'll eat another protein source like eggs. Now, I don't usually eat chicken or fish in the morning, but those are also complete proteins. Greek yogurt, sometimes lean beef. And if you're vegetarian, it may be tofu or tempeh, beans paired thoughtfully with other protein sources, and beans with rice to make it a complete protein. The point isn't that everyone should eat exactly like I do. The point is, I want you to listen to your body. I don't do well as a vegetarian, but if you do well as a vegetarian, I need you to be more mindful in getting it in such a way that you're getting your complete proteins. Listen to your body. Notice how you feel. Experiment. Because the goal isn't simply eating protein. The goal is feeding your cells and feeling great. I notice for me, as an example, when I have carbohydrates at breakfast, I do not have as much energy throughout the day. It doesn't matter what the carbohydrate is. I simply don't have as much energy. I feel better longer and more sustainably when I have protein in my early morning hours, and then my late afternoon meal or my evening meal has more of my carbohydrates. That's how my body works. So learning how to listen. So number two, first was protein. Number two is going to be, I want you to eat the rainbow. Color, 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 and more color. So summer is one of my favorite times of year, nutritionally speaking. We have farmers markets everywhere. Even the grocery stores have, local produce, and you can get fresh berries and tomatoes and peaches. You can grow your own leafy vegetables, whatever it is. Fresh herbs. The body and our cells, they love fresh herbs, cherries, watermelon. Nature has done the hard work for us. In other words, the more different plant nutrients you are getting, the better. Those colorful foods are packed with vitamins, minerals, and compounds called antioxidants. Now, antioxidants, they can sound complicated, but they're really not. Every day, your body naturally creates unstable molecules called free radicals. And this is part of a normal metabolic process. Stress, pollution, smoking, poor diets, and even too much sun increases these unstable molecules called free radicals. When there are too many free radicals, they can contribute to what's called oxidative stress. That can damage your cells over time. So antioxidants help to neutralize those free radicals. So think of them as part of your body's cleanup crew. That's one of the reasons I encourage people to eat food in as many of the natural, vibrant, grown in the ground colors as possible, because every color brings a different collection of nutrients. So let's keep going. We've talked about protein. We've talked about adding color to your plate. Now let's move into something that has been misunderstood for decades. For years, we've been told about fats and fat being the enemy. But I want to talk about healthy fats, because everything years ago became this giant movement for fat-free. Low-fat yogurt, fat-free salad dressing, fat-free cookies, fat-free everything. And something very interesting happened. We didn't become healthier. We actually became hungrier, less satisfied. And as a society, that's when we actually became heavier. Why? Because when the manufacturers removed the fat, they often added more sugar, more refined starches, more artificial ingredients, and more processing. Healthy fats are not something to fear. Your body actually needs them. Your brain is made up of nearly 60% fat. Think about that. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. What do you think happens if you go fat-free and you're not giving your body what it needs? What do you think happens to your brain? All those aging brain issues that we have can potentially be affected by having good fats or not having enough fats. Do you want to affect them positively or negatively? Your cells, they need the healthy fats. They need them to build strong cell membranes. Your hormones rely on healthy fats too. Your skin, your eyes, your joints, your nervous system, they all benefit when you have the right kinds of fats. So one of my favorite examples is avocado. I probably eat avocado most days of the week. It's packed with healthy fats, fiber, potassium, and a variety of other nutrients that literally support heart health, brain health, and help you feel satisfied longer after your meal. Now, I also love extra virgin olive oil, nuts, seeds, olives. coconut oil, and wild caught salmon. All of those foods are giving your body something it truly knows what to do with. And I will say a little note about extra virgin olive oil. I personally like to use it over low to medium heat or drizzle it over vegetables and salads so that I preserve as many of those beneficial plant compounds as possible. This is not about perfection. It's about making small choices that nourish your body. These are all things that I go a lot deeper into with my reset program, but this is a great place to start. Number 4, minerals matter more than most people realize. Have you ever noticed how much more tired you feel after spending a hot summer day outside? Maybe you've been gardening or walking or playing with grandchildren, whatever it is, walking in the yard. I took my beautiful German Shepherd on a long walk today, and we were both very hot. It was a little too hot for her. Came back and had to replenish those fluids because you sweat. You're losing important minerals, magnesium, potassium, sodium. These minerals help regulate muscle function, hydration, nerve communication, and your energy production. I'm not saying everybody needs electrolyte powders all day long. Most people can meet many of their needs through a balanced diet and proper hydration. But if you have been sweating heavily, exercising, or spending long periods outside during the summer, replacing both fluids and electrolytes may actually help you feel better. A lot of times it will. I will say, doesn't replace medical advice and so on and so forth. But if you're going to start with electrolytes, don't go whole hog with them and all of a sudden be adding a packet to your water every single day. Start slowly. Do a quarter of a packet, a half a packet. See how you feel. Listen to your body. One of the reasons I enjoy summer produce so much is because many fruits and vegetables will naturally contain water, potassium, magnesium, and other minerals that your body needs. Hydration isn't just about drinking water. It's also about helping your body hold on to and use the water effectively. You can drink a ton of water. You can actually drink too much water. And if you're drinking a ton of water, but your body can't absorb it because the minerals are not correct in your body, your mineral levels, then that water is going to flush right through you. Number 5, let's talk about choosing smart carbohydrates because I know carbohydrates have gotten a bad reputation. I am not anti-carbohydrate. I am anti-energy crashes. As I mentioned earlier, if I eat carbohydrates at my breakfast meal, I don't have as much energy and focus throughout the day. So I wait to have them later in the day, but it doesn't mean I don't have them. And as women, menopausal over, say, 40 and up, we are often getting that weight gain or things like that. And one of the first things we do is we cut out our carbohydrates. And yes, that can work for a little while, but when you are in the menopausal years, it can often negatively affect you if you're not doing it correctly or if you're going too low with your carbohydrates. I've seen that with clients. And the problem with carbohydrates is not necessarily eating them because your body really does prefer carbohydrates as one of your energy sources. The problem is how much we eat and the types that we eat. So highly processed foods, sugary drinks, candies, pastries, all that kind of stuff. Anything packaged as a snack food, these are all digested very quickly, which can cause your blood sugar to spike. It rises rapidly and then it falls just as quickly. And that's a roller coaster. That is a roller coaster for your energy levels, leaving you feeling hungry far too soon, tired, or like you need to reach for another source of quick energy. So instead, I want you to think about carbohydrates that come packaged with fiber and nutrients. So, sweet potatoes are automatically going to contain more fiber and more nutrients than a white potato. Beans, lentils, quinoa, winter squash, whole fruits instead of fruit juice. As I've mentioned before, I do very well when I keep my carbohydrates lower earlier in the day and focus on protein, vegetables, and healthy fats. I have steadier energy, better focus. I run circles around most people with my energy. I have fewer cravings. But then in the evening, I often include a serving of a healthier carbohydrate like a sweet potato, squash, or even a small portion of potatoes with a balanced meal. I've found that I sleep better when I do it that way. That doesn't mean everyone will respond exactly the same. Your body isn't my body, of course. That's why I encourage all of you to learn how to really listen to your body. Listen to the whispers before they become taps on your shoulder and before they start screaming at you. And instead of looking for rigid rules of what you should and shouldn't and can and can't have, experiment a little bit and listen. Notice. One tip I can give you too that many people find helpful is to begin your meal with your protein and your vegetables before eating your starches. That combination can slow the digestion and support steadier blood sugar after a meal. So, in other words, eat the protein and the salad or the vegetable, then have the starch or the dessert. And again, notice your body, learn from it. Now, here's something we don't talk enough about. I promised you this wasn't going to be an episode about what you should never eat. And I meant that. You probably noticed, though, I haven't spent much time talking about processed foods. I haven't made a list of foods you're allowed to have or a list of foods you're not allowed to have. Instead, I've talked about what you can add because that's how I approach wellness. It's how I've been healing my body and working with my autoimmune disease so that it does not control me. I don't wake up asking, what do I have to eliminate today? I wake up asking, okay, what does my body need today? What can I gift my body today to help it? What nourishment can I gift myself? What can I do that helps my cells, supports my brain, reduces my inflammation, and will keep my energy high? Now, that simple shift is going to change everything if you adopt that. Because when you consistently nourish your body, you choose yourself. And you often find that there's less room and less desire. It's a beautiful side effect, I promise you, for many of those foods that don't make you feel better. In fact, they make you feel crappy at the end of the day. And as you know, food isn't the whole story here. Energy isn't only about what you eat. It's also about what your body can actually absorb and use. So chronic stress, that can affect your digestion, which will limit what you absorb. Poor sleep changes the hormones that regulate your hunger and your blood sugar, which again affects how much weight you store, the food you choose, and how much you eat. Inflammation makes your body work a lot harder, which can limit healing or increase pain. Movement helps your muscles use glucose more effectively and supports healthy circulation, which helps you burn your fuel more efficiently, keeps you stronger for years to come, and keeps your heart pumping the way it should. Sunlight helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which influences your sleep, your hormones, and your energy. Everything is connected. Whether we like it or not, everything is connected. And that's one of the reasons that I created the limitless reset method the way that I did. We don't isolate one area of wellness for you or for myself, which is where this all started. We don't just talk about food or stress or exercise. We look at the entire person. Your body doesn't operate in separate departments. It's more like a big giant puzzle, and all those puzzle pieces have to come together for your body to operate at its best. It really functions as one beautifully connected system. That's why the Limitless Reset method looks at 8 different pillars of wellness. And whenever you strengthen one area, you will often strengthen another. And then eventually those small shifts, they begin working together. So research does actually show consistently that dietary patterns that emphasize minimally processed foods, colorful fruits and vegetables, quality protein sources, healthy fats, and regular activity are all associated with healthier metabolic function, lower levels of chronic inflammation, and better overall health. I mean, isn't that what we all really want? So no single food is a miracle. No single supplement is a miracle either. You cannot supplement your way out of a bad diet. You cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet. It's the pattern that matters. It's what you do most of the time that matters. So here's what I'd love for you to practice this week. Before every meal, pause for just a moment and ask yourself 3 simple questions. What does my body need right now? What can I gift my body? How can I feed my cells? Maybe the answer is going to be more protein or another serving of vegetables or healthy fats. Maybe it's going to be drinking more water or slowing down enough to actually taste your food and give your body a chance to digest. Don't think about what you have to subtract. Think about what you can add. Think nourishment first, because when you consistently give your body what it truly needs, everything begins to change, not overnight, but steadily. And that's exactly what you really want. That becomes sustainable. That's real change. That's real positive improvement and effect and long-term energy. Now, next Thursday, we're going to continue our energy reset series, but we're going to move beyond food and we're going to talk about movement. Not spending hours in the gym either, not punishing workouts, but simple ways to move your body throughout the day that will actually create more energy instead of leaving you feeling exhausted. Because movement isn't something you do after your body has energy. Movement is one of the ways you create energy in your body. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who's been struggling with fatigue or feeling run down. If you haven't already done so, please give the show a review. It helps other people find it. And visit me. You can visit me at my website, fredrickadavis.com. Join the free Limitless Living community. I'll see you in there. I'm actually going to post a nice little bonus. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who's been struggling with fatigue or feeling run down. And if you haven't given us a review, please do so. Join our free Limitless Living community. I'm actually going to post a little cheat sheet for foods that feed your cells and increase your energy in there. You can download. Until next Thursday, be rooted, be resilient, and be limitless. Thanks so much for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend. Leave a review and be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss next week's conversations. Remember, a new episode drops on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And if you'd like more resources about my coaching, speaking, upcoming events, or you'd like to join my free Limitless Living community, just visit me at fredrickadavis.com. Until next time, be rooted, be resilient, and be limitless.